Going back to like this aspect of like being soft in our society, do you feel like the NFL and sports have gone soft a little bit?
It's just different. Well, now it's all about health and safety in the NFL. It's not. I wouldn't. They wouldn't prefer to do it as soft, but it's just different now. You see these quarterbacks. I saw a quarterback this year get sacked, but they called roughing the passer on the guy that sacked him. I'm like, that was a sack. How's that roughing the passer? If no one blocks him and he sacks your quarterback, that should be a penalty on the offensive lineman.
Yeah,
or the
that
quarterback.
whole like put your body weight on him.
Yeah, turn your sideways and throw him to the ground on his tush so he doesn't get hurt when you tackle him, so you don't get a 400-yard penalty or a $62,000 fine. There's just so many rules that drive me crazy about the NFL.
Can you explain to people how difficult that is? Because the NFL moves so fast. And you're watching this stuff in slow motion.
Milliseconds. Yeah, they're going back and like, here's the one rule that I can't in college football, the targeting rule.
Yes.
You're going to suspend this kid for a game or a half for targeting. Okay, fine. I understand. Throw the penalty. Give him 15 yards, but when they go back and review it, or they'll stop. There's no flag thrown during the play, and all of a sudden, they just beat down for something. Must be a targeting call. Let's go back and look at this play from 62 different angles. Oh yeah, that guy definitely turned his head on that block. That we're gonna throw him out of the game now. You're messing with the kid's future. I mean, if these kids have a chance to make the NFL, some of them it could cost them a draft spot. You never know. I mean, it may be a little far fetched, but you may cost them a draft spot. But they want to make it safe. I'm off. My son plays high school football. I get it. I want to make it safe for him too. But you know what? Play smarter. Don't put your head down. Don't put your head. Don't lower it in someone's knee. Don't go to put your head in someone's chest. This is not how you're supposed to tackle. Keep your head up and put your head across their chest.
But there's times too where I feel like defensive players are put in a horrible position now. Like it just because that's where like I'm constantly going to harp on the idea of how difficult it is to react in real time. Like it's unbelievable. Like once again, you're going against the best of the best.
This far, I mean, there's you can't adjust your angle. When the ball's thrown, they should throw a penalty on the quarterback for throwing some of those footballs because they're hanging the receivers out to dry, But and even Tom Brady said something about that too. He said something like, "Man, they should, if my guy gets a penalty or if my receiver gets hit, I should get the penalty, because I threw that football, I shouldn't have thrown it."
Yep.
But yeah, it's tough to watch now because the thing that still makes me mad and always has is when the lineman can cut your knees out or a running back can take your knees out, no problem. As a defensive player, that's why our knees are important to us. I know that helmets are a big, heads are a big deal too if you're getting concussions, but knees are a pretty big deal too. You see some of these older guys that can't even walk anymore. They're in wheelchairs from having so many surgeries. It's because they were cut every damn play when they played defensive line or linebacker. So I could go on forever about this. I get really, really mad about some of the rules for the offense compared to the defense.
Well, if you could sit down with maybe NFLPA and some executives, like what would you do to change it?
The PA doesn't do anything anyway. I think they work for the NFL, honestly. Yeah, they don't have anything really.
Were you ever involved in that when in your playing days?
No, I if they ever nominated me for anything, I was like, do not nominate me to go to these stupid NFL PA meetings. They don't do anything. They make money. All the merchandising and stuff. NFL PA gets a piece of that, so they pay all their high salaries with what they make off the players. But then they package it like, oh, look, here's your 6% of your $2 million jersey sales. Thanks. Where'd the other 1.8 go? Oh, that goes back into the NFL licensing. It's really expensive to license these jerseys and stuff like that. Anyway, it's a big money pit.
It's like, Brian, we're working on these new initiatives, and we're going to need this millions of dollars.
That's right. To pay our salaries and to get stuff done, we have to use this money for that.
This multi-million-dollar house isn't going to pay for itself, Brian.
You said it, not me. I wasn't going there.
But if you could talk to them about because obviously we're talking about college football with targeting. I think it's I think it's nonsense too, especially to you have offensive players that are lowering their head too.
The running backs lower their head it drives me crazy. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. But I would just say make it more fair. So I can't imagine being a cornerback in the NFL and not getting a penalty every play. Because if you press and you touch them after 5 yards, that's a penalty, that's first down. And I feel like the refs are great at calling it in 3rd and 20. The downs you're never going to pick up. And you're playing zone anyway, but they're going to call a phantom, it was 6 yards down the field, that's illegal touching. Playing cornerback in the NFL will be impossible because you can't touch them, you can't do anything. But just make it more fair if you can. I mean, eliminate some cut blocks. Eliminate the cut block from the game. That's what I would say. If you want to make it safe for defensive players as well, I understand helmet-to-helmet contact is not good for anybody, but neither is helmet-to-knee contact by the offensive lineman or running backs on linebackers or D linemen. It's not good for anybody.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but it sounds like you're saying maybe refs were a little selective.
Wait, you mean when they put an emphasis on certain things every season? Mm-hmm. So you'll have these training camp, refs will come in and like, okay, the NFL is going to put an emphasis on offensive holding this year. So the first game of the year, there's 10 offensive holding calls. Now, were there really 10 offensive holdings? I don't know. They called it. There's an emphasis on it. So
There's
of course
probably holding every play.
Every play. It depends on when they want to call it. We're going to put an emphasis on illegal contact this year. First game, 30 illegal contacts, or first weekend. And then whatever they put an emphasis on is what they're going to call. Why? Why not just call what you see? Does that make sense?
That sounds
How about
like
you just call what you think may or may not be a penalty, and other than that, don't worry about it. And the Super Bowl was great because there was no penalties till the very end, when it really mattered.
That's very true.
There was no penalties till it mattered. And then it was a penalty. The guy did kind of hook Cup going around the end there, but it's funny to me how there's zero all game long. Like the one when Jalen Ramsey got drugged down by his face mask.
Yeah,
that wasn't a penalty. Offensive guys can do whatever they want to. If a defensive guy touched an offensive guy like that, you're talking about being ejected, $1 million fine. That'd be the end of the world.
And you talk about like First Take's going to go off on that. Oh man,
look what this guy did to him. How could he get away with this? This is the worst. This is a travesty. And then an offensive guy does it to a defensive guy. That's a good play. That Brest missed that one. Sorry. Why can't you review it? You review everything else. Yep. Oh man, and the reviews drive me crazy too.
Man, and then overtime rules just got changed and updated. Like.
No, the overtime for playoffs.
For the playoffs.
For the playoffs. That's the only thing that got updated.
For me, I was in hockey for a long time. I was working for the San Jose Sharks for about 5 seasons. And the way that the NHL does it is they have a shootout during the regular season because obviously you're going to get a point for even making it to overtime. And obviously the point system is a lot different than just having a 16-game season.
Yeah, a win or loss,
but just having this in the playoffs, I think there's plenty of times where you have the Chiefs against the Bills. Like, what a game that was.
That was
and then
phenomenal.
You have some of these games come down to just you luckily win a coin toss. And then, like,
you score
and
first,
then how do you feel specifically? I hear people say, well, I don't think both teams should get the ball. The defense should do their job. Like, from a defensive standpoint, like, how difficult is that to say, hey, maybe it's a high-scoring game, and it's completely up to us, and we know that our offense can't even rebuttal at all. Yeah,
well, we didn't score a lot of points when I played. Our teams didn't score a lot of points. Well, our offense didn't, not very much. But I agree with the stop them on defense. But so I like the college rule this year. They changed it to like you get 2 possessions to score a touchdown and kick the extra point, and then you go for 2 after that. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the NFL doesn't do that. The college rule is so exciting. Or just go for 2 every time. If they get it, cool. If you get it, cool. Just go tell someone. It's not going to affect your stats. I know that the NFL is a big stats guys. But they don't want to give too many touchdowns. So don't give them touchdowns.
Well, because that's a part of incentives, though, too. That
Fine.
I think that
so make it a 2-point conversion then.
Yeah.
So give them 2 points. It's not a touchdown. And by the way, conversions don't count for stats anyway. They don't even count as a catch. Mm-hmm. So just put it as a 2-point conversion, and you go until one team gets it and one team doesn't. How hard is that? That's what the college teams have done now. After the first 2 rounds, you have to go for 2, and then somebody wins.
Brian,
what's wrong with that?
You make too much sense, man.
You
make too much sense for me. And
I don't hear that very often. You should hang out in my house. I'll hear how dumb I am.
You like what you just saw and you want more non-woke sports talk and conversation? Of course you do. Make sure you head over to the Breakaway YouTube channel, subscribe, also hit the like button. We give you all that sports news without the nonsense. That's what you're looking for. We're also on Instagram at TPUSA Breakaway. Appreciate y'all. Go Sports.